Hey friends, I've been talking this past month all about kids and sweets, and I'm just continuing the conversation and wanting to answer some great questions that I've gotten from you guys to hopefully help clear some things up in places that you might be getting stuck. So, one question I wanted to address is what should you do if your child doesn't eat any of their dinner? Should you still offer dessert? And this is kind of a two-part question, so I'm going to divide this up a little bit, and I'm going to just talk about in this first video of the importance of taking the initiative and being proactive about offering sweets to your child with meals. And I'm a huge advocate of doing this for two big reasons. So first, when you're offering desserts alongside your child's meal, regardless of what your child has or hasn't eaten that day, it can send a really powerful message to your children and that you're communicating to them that all foods are emotionally equal. And the reason why that's important is because when we approach food with our kids from a place where we're essentially saying, all foods are emotionally equal, that doesn't mean they're nutritionally equal, but we're approaching them without creating a hierarchy. So we're not saying this food is better than this food. And the reason we want to do that is because it really helps our kids honor their innate eating abilities. So our kids are born with the programming to self-regulate their intake, and we can really help preserve those abilities when we are offering all foods and a variety of foods without any rules or kind of stipulations for how they have to eat those foods. So this kind of goes back to the basic principle of feeding our kids, which is, as parents, we're in charge of providing food to our children. And then our kids are responsible for deciding what they want to eat and how much they want to eat from the foods that we've provided. And this is essential to building a trusting feeding relationship between us and our kids, but also to helping our kids really be able to learn how to self-regulate a variety of foods from the foods that we're providing at meals and snack times. The second reason is that, if we are offering desserts after dinner or there's stipulations involved for our kids to be able to get dessert, that can absolutely create some rules around food in a child's mind. And oftentimes, some of the things that we might do as parents is saying things like, you need to take so many bites of this meal before you can have dessert, or you need to eat your vegetables before you can have dessert. And, if you've done that, please hear me out. I'm not saying this to shame anyone. This is a really common practice. And, we often do it from a place of really good intention. We just want our kids to be healthy and to be able to eat a variety of foods. And sometimes it can be a little uncomfortable for us if we're seeing our kids maybe eat a sweet food and not eat other aspects of their meal. The thing is, when we do that, even though it's done from a place of really good intention, it can again create this good versus bad food in a child's mind. So sometimes when kids feel like, oh, I have to eat all of this before I can get to the good stuff, it really creates negative associations around the food that you might want them to eat, and it elevates dessert up on a pedestal. So they're going to be so much more excited about the dessert, and they're kind of thinking in their brain, like, why do I have to get through all of this to get to the thing I really want? And so in order to kind of help prevent that from happening, we want to be able to offer all foods together for our kids. So offering, the cookies alongside the vegetables and the protein and the starch or whatever it is that your family's having for dinner. And that creates such a powerful effect in a child's mind because you're not creating any emotional attachment to that food, and you're really helping them learn that, there's not good foods or bad foods, or they don't have to push their way through the foods that might be more challenging for them in order to get to the thing that they're really excited about eating. So you're making it an equal playing field, and you're saying, all foods are equal emotionally. One is not bad, one is not good, and I'm allowing you to learn how to self-regulate what you need and what feels best in your body. So you can see that taking that approach is going to help not only our kids, but it's going to help you too. Because I think When we are creating stipulations in our mind to determine whether or not we should offer our children sweets or desserts, that can kind of create a power struggle, and or it's a power struggle waiting to happen, right? Because if you're at the table with your family and you're waiting for your child to eat, I don't know, their veggies or so many bites of their food before you determine whether or not you're going to offer dessert, that's already going to make it more challenging. And I guarantee that it's going to potentially create some power struggles between you and your child too, because then you're going to get sucked into this like negotiation, right? Where your child's like, but I really want to eat this. And you're like, no, you need to eat so much of this. So essentially, this is really pivoting your mindset and your approach to meals with your child, where you're going to predetermine ahead of time whether or not you're going to offer a sweet or a dessert with the meal. And you're making that decision based on the intention of wanting to offer a variety of foods to your child, and in order to really help normalize sweets for your kids too. And so when you're taking that initiative and you're proactively deciding before the meal even starts, that's going to be so helpful for you and your child. And then really too, it's going to help your child as well, because they're going to see their dessert alongside their meals. They're not going to be asking all these questions about it, like, do I get dessert? Can I eat dessert yet? So it can really be a huge shift and a powerful change to take this approach of not saying, does my child still get dessert depending on how they eat, but saying, I'm going to offer dessert regardless. I'm going to decide what I'm providing to my child and allow them to decide from the meal and from the food that I've offered whether or not they want to eat it. So I hope this is helpful. Again, it's taking a different look at this question, and again, saying that as the parent, you're going to take charge of deciding when you're going to offer dessert, and not letting that be dependent on what your child has actually done at that mealtime or even earlier in the day too, because our children's eating is going to be erratic at times. And sometimes we look at our kids and how they eat in a 24-hour time period. But the reality is that our kids get what they need over the course of time, not just in one, day. So keep that in mind too. And in my next video, I'm going to talk about what to do if you're offering dessert at meal times and your child only eats the dessert, or if they're asking for more of the dessert and not interested in the other foods that you're giving them. So stay tuned for more, and feel free to let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I'll also link a blog post that talks more about this. All right, thanks for watching.